I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, June the 27th, brought to you in part by Livestock Risk Services. Of course, that's Dakota Moss there in Oklahoma City at the Oklahoma National Stockyards Exchange building there. It's a handy place to go in and see him. But be sure and check out some of these other agents that work with him, namely Steve Anderson. He's always in the cattle business and buys cattle and puts deals together. He knows what's going on. He's in Mountain View, Arkansas. Tim Forth in South Coffeyville, Oklahoma, in the business, knows what's going on. Byron Bird is way out in Okeechobee, Florida, but his family is deeply entrenched in the cattle business. And Colby Cunningham there in Rose, Oklahoma. Those are just a few of the agents that are working there with Dakota. And don't forget, they not only do LRPs, they also do PRF if you're worried about your moisture conditions there. For more information, go to livestockriskservices.com. Also, Unionville Livestock Market in north central Missouri and Creston Livestock Market in south central Iowa. Both of those sales on DVAuction.com. Unionville, of course, had one of the biggest sales this past week. They had their big barbecue customer appreciation sale there, and including in that, they had the brand new world champion livestock auctioneer Dean Edge from up in Canada come down and sell a sale and meet everybody. But that was a big sale. They had those Rockin' R cattle they were smoking. Had the Brundage cattle. They bring all-time record highs for the 6-weight category. But the next sale at Unionville is going to be July the 8th, so keep that on your schedule. Up in Creston Livestock, their next sale will be the Back to Grass Special Calf and Yearling sale, be Wednesday, July the 9th. But both those sales will be closed here next week for 4th of July celebration. Flooding in the Midwest, and that's a good problem to have this time of year. They're glad to have it. It is causing their grain markets to go down in a big way, but they are getting tons of moisture all around there in Nebraska and Iowa, and tell you what, it caused a loss of production at the JBS plant in Grand Island, Nebraska. There was about 8 inches of rain fell there locally, and all but shut them down there on Thursday for their production schedule. So that's going to cause a little turbulence in your fed cattle market with them closed. And then Tyson plant in Amarillo is looking at some union strikes that are going to be up there, and they're expected to be dark Thursday and Friday both here leading up to the holiday. So with I think limited production, if any, on Thursday, they said there was picketing going on around the plant. So we're going to see if they get those things straightened out here before too long. But it's causing a little disturbance in your fed cattle market, and folks are kind of making a big deal out of that loss of production. But if you look at the slaughter, our slaughter estimated cattle slaughter under federal inspection is larger than last week up through this point. So I mean, it's not hurting it that bad, guys. But the fat cattle market sharply lower on Thursday on limited sales. Didn't have a whole lot going on. It was pretty much just regional packers buying there early, and the market was $3 to $6 lower live basis, $8 to $11 lower dressed. They're going to take hunks as they try to get some of that market position back on their side. Of course, we got it in hunks going up the hill, but we'll try to get that kind of under wraps here before too long. But next week, very few feeder cattle auctions around the circuit, with 4th of July being the only other major shutdown week other than between Christmas and New Year's. So sale barns will be doing renovations and taking vacations and just giving people time off for their midsummer break. But they will be having the Big Bang primetime livestock video sale through Joplin Regional Stockyards at Pittsburgh, Kansas, at the Crossing Casino there. And then don't forget about Coffeyville Stockyards Blue Stem Special. They've been having this for several years. They're going to have it at the Crossbell Ranch, which is always fun out there. They're going to have steak sandwiches. They're going to have a cash bar. They're going to have a big tent to protect you from the sun. And we'll be there with DVAuction taking bids for that. It's June the 2nd on Wednesday of next week, and starts at 5 o'clock in the evening. They've moved that up. It got dark on us last year, but they've moved that up a little bit. And for those of you interested in bidding online, in the past we have had problems with getting internet signal out there. You can barely make a phone call out there. But they do have internet, and then when the buyers all get there and start making their phone calls over the internet, kind of left us high and dry. DVAuction to keep it going. But this year we are bringing in Starlink, so we're not going to be having any internet issues, so it shouldn't be a problem. Should have a good signal there to take all those bids online for those good cattle. They got about 25,000 on offer with Coffeyville Stockyards Blue Stem Special. Let's talk about your board on Thursday. June live cattle futures were up 10 cents at 221.70. That is a far cry from even the sharply lower market we're working with now. But it's going to, that contract is going to expire here before next week, but doesn't seem to be in any hurry to converge. August live cattle futures up 22 cents at 209.20, and that's going to be kind of a lonely spot contract to be working with next week, all the way down there at 209.20. Your back months unchanged to up 12 cents. August feeder cattle up $1, and then they kind of come on strong there at the end at 303.20. Still a far cry from what your cash index levels are, but that's an August contract you gotta keep in mind. September up 77 cents at 303.75. Your back months on feeder cattle up 37 to up 72, so people still excited about buying feeder cattle. Grains down hard again. I tell you what, all this moisture in the Midwest is sucking them down. Corn was down 6 cents a bushel at 4.10 1/4. Beans for July down 21.5 cents a bushel at 10.25 1/4. And hard red winter wheat for July down 10.5 cents a bushel at 5.24 1/4. Your fat cattle trade started, or continued. We didn't have much sales before that, but we did have limited sales on Thursday before the 2 o'clock deadline to get that information in. It was lower, and it was mostly just from your regionals that are more hand to mouth. Your majors are all you're boasting that they don't really need many cattle. Now we'll see if that's true or not. But whenever they are buying them, they're mostly buying them for late July. So how we can let them get that many cattle stacked around them, I don't know. But Iowa sold just 400 head. They've sold about twice that many for the week. But on Thursday, the live price was $232. It was $238 last week, and $368 dressed. Nebraska 3,100 on Thursday early, and 4,250 for the week so far. Live price in Nebraska only $230, and dress price from $365 to $368. That is $5 to $6 lower live, and $8 to $11 lower on a dress basis. Kansas sold 600 head, $223 to $225, and that's $3 to $5 lower. Texas did not have any sales confirmed by the end of day on Thursday. Did have a fat cattle auction at Kelowna Sales Barn. DVAuction broadcaster there, guys. They had 500 head. Fed cattle sold $1.50 to $2 higher whenever you negotiate, sell them in competitive bidding. I don't know why more people don't do that. I guess they don't want to go to the trouble. But at all the fat cattle auctions this week, the fed cattle sold really well. just about as well as they sold in the last couple of weeks, and your direct market sharply lower. You can take those cattle to the sale, guys. Conventional fed cattle in Kelowna, Iowa sell from 234 to 242. Box beef cutout values were, well, Select got their a lot of their market back that they lost yesterday, but choice cuts were up 11 cents at 395.05, and Select's up 345 at 379.74. Slaughter for the week here, up through the first 4 days of the week, estimated cattle slaughter 452,000, and even though we've been talking about abbreviated schedules and curb production and all that kind of stuff, it's 1,000 more than last week at this time. So these slaughters have been so slight here, it doesn't take a whole lot to kind of come back from them. But that 452,000 is 23,000 less than the same point in the week, same week a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. Actually, we're going to go right to your real-time index. That's brought to you by Specialty Risk Insurance. They are working to protect your livelihood, guys. Your real-time index late on Thursday, and we didn't have very many sales on Thursday, but it was 313.40, down 1 penny per 100. So not very much at all, guys. It's pretty much steady. Latest CME cash feeder cattle index still sitting at 310.60. Your big sales on Thursday, like I said, didn't have too many big sales. Winter Livestock and Pratt had a pretty impressive sale, had 2,000 head there. The feeders sold steady to $4 lower for the most part, and the receipts were ganged up on heavy feeder steers. And you see that it was your Superior Steel Sales, home of Superior Standard Livestock Equipment, stick-out sale of the day. Even though it wasn't really well tested throughout, they did have impressive quotes there on your 8 and 9 weight steers. And if you look at this automated market report through Cattle Market Central, you can see the 503 head of 8 weight steers. They averaged 856 with a weighted average price of $312.49. 680 head of steers weighed in the 9 weight category averaged 942 pounds at 304.25. So it was a pretty good sale there at Winter Livestock and Pratt. Another market that had an individual quote that I thought was good was Lamona, Iowa, and they had several loads of feeder steers there. And the load that impressed me was a load of Crawford steers. They weighed 920 pounds and bring 308.50. Big time quote there. How about a quote from up in Clarinda, Iowa? They had 52 steers, weighed 602 at $395. Big time quote, nearly $4 for 6 weight steers, guys. And then Pratt, the individual quote that impressed me out of Pratt was 111 steers, weighed 938 at $315. That is no weaker. That is as good as we've ever seen it, guys, with cattle weighing that deep in the 9s. Big time quote there. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Thursday in your Macrocin No BS top quote for the day come out of Broken Bow, Nebraska. Broken Bow Livestock there. 64 steers, weighed 795. It was a good thing they had a 7 as a front figure on those. And they bring 329. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.